David H., a patron of Sly Flourish, asks, if you were to write the Lazy Player's Guide, what would you include it in? So I probably wouldn't refer to it as the Lazy Player's Guide, but instead I'd offer a list of player behaviors that I think work really well from the perspective of a dungeon master. The first thing I'd offer is to recommend to players that they build their characters around the theme and the story of the campaign that the DM brought to the table. It's very tempting to build a character without really knowing yet what the campaign is going to be all about. You have an idea for your character and you want to run with it, and you really don't even know what kind of campaign you're going to be playing or what the story of that campaign is. So hold off until that session 0, understand where the campaign is going, and then build a character that's really custom built to support the theme of that campaign. Now, likewise, you can build your character in cooperation with the other characters rather than building them independently. So talk to the other players, find out what they're building, and see if there's any in-story partnerships that you can have that you can start off with right off the bat. Think about how your character can be a support character rather than being a main character. What can they offer the rest of the group to help drive them towards the story that's going on in the campaign? Another one is take notes. Taking notes is a great way to keep yourself engaged with the story, make sure that you understand what is going on, and offers this artifact that you can offer to other players and even to the dungeon master to help show what direction the campaign has been going and what's been happening in the past. It's a great way to make sure that you're staying engaged with the game, that you're not surfing on your phone or you're not distracted by something else, but you're actually paying attention to what's going on in the game, and you're taking notes that will help you remember where things go. It's a great way to keep track of quests. It's a great way to help the other players understand what's going on. It just generally keeps you engaged, and it shows the DM that you actually care about what's happening in the story. Describe your intent. It's very common for players and dungeon masters to get caught in a game of Go Fish, where the player says something like, how far away are those guys? And the DM will say, 60 feet. And you say, how close are they to one another? And you say, about 15 feet. Well, how close are the two orcs to the boss? Right? And you can go back and forth like this, when it's far better to say, I'd like to figure out how many of them I can hit inside of a hypnotic pattern. How many of the guards can I hit with a hypnotic pattern? And if I cast it, can I also include the boss in that? Or I really want to make sure that I'm protecting my wizard and that anybody that's charging out towards the wizard is going to have to get past me and I'm going to get an opportunity attack using my polearm mastery. Just tell the DM what you're trying to do, and very often they'll help you get there. Focus on the fiction of the game. It's really easy to either get caught up in the mechanics of your character and all the kind of neat stuff that they can do, or to get caught in the DM's head and think about, like, why is the DM doing this thing? Or that DM didn't do this one thing right with that monster. They didn't use the right power. Try to break away from the reality of the situation at the table and throw yourself into the fiction. What does your character currently think of what's going on? What do they see? What are their relationships with the other characters? How do they feel about what's going on? When you get into your character, you can really get a good idea of what's going on in the game, and you lose yourself rather than getting caught up in either the mechanics of your character or whatever you think the DM is up to at any given point. Now, of course, you have to be careful with this. It's okay to do what your character would do and to act as your character would act, as long as that is not detracting from the fun of the rest of the group, which includes the DM. So absolutely, you should behave as your character would behave in game, but not if it's detrimental to any of the other characters or if it's detrimental to the fun of the game overall. Now, along with this, remember that you're only 1/5 of the spotlight. So do what you can to reinforce the other characters. Talk to them about what they can do. Bring them into your decisions. Think about how your character can work with another character. Strike up in-game conversations with other characters about what's going on. Try to take your spotlight and expand it out to the other characters that are there, rather than just waiting for your time to shine. If you enjoyed this video, you can help me out in 4 different ways. First, you can subscribe to the Sly Flourish newsletter. Second, you can subscribe to my videos on YouTube. Third, you can subscribe to the Sly Flourish Patreon and become a patron of Sly Flourish. And 4, you can pick up any of my books, including Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master and the Lazy DM's Workbook. Thank you very much and have a great day.